On this week's episode of ADHD-20, Alison and I talk about our propensity to overexplain.
It's something that we find that we do a lot. You know what? Never mind. Just watch the Ding Ding episode.
Alabama coming on down, getting on down to the little shop of horrors. Amen.
Hi, Matt.
Hi, Alison. How are you?
Great. How are you?
Good.
Strong start, just like all of our D&D games.
Yeah, super strong start. It's a Wednesday. Mm-hmm. It's a hump day today for sure.
It's a Wednesday Addams.
It's a Wednesday Addams. Wednesday Atoms. I didn't see as many Wednesday Addams costumes as I thought I would.
Oh, I saw a ton in my Facebook and Instagram feed.
Oh yeah, I don't play
You don't
that.
do that whole social media thing. You're too cool and too hipster for that.
I'm definitely not. Somebody put it so well the other day. My friend Aaron was just like, look, some of those environments, not all of them, some of those environments that you find yourself in are really just other people that want to be heard. Mm. And I can't, not only am I noised to be a part of it, if I do or say anything with any kind of, ulterior motive, it doesn't really go anywhere anymore, right? Like social media it doesn't move any needles.
No.
It's really just noise on noise. So I'm not anti-social media.
It's interesting, though, that you mentioned this because I was having a deep shower thought about this yesterday. Do you want to go ahead and swallow that real quick?
We need to keep and write down deep shower thought.
Deep shower thoughts.
Is that a real thing? Is that a thing?
Oh my
Is that
God,
a meme
yes.
from the
do
world?
Do you not do your best thinking in the shower? Because I only do good thinking in the shower.
I just haven't heard that actual phrase, deep shower thought.
Well, okay.
Like it's a young.
Now it's out in the world.
Continue.
So last night's deep shower thought, I was actually thinking about exactly this, about my relationship to social media and cleaning up the parts of social media that really bum me out and stress me out. And like the people who vex me the hardest on social media. And here's what I realized along these lines, synchronicity, Matt. We can all be the center of our own universe. I want you to be the most important person to you. I need to be the most important person to me. That is great. That is honestly the highly evolved thinking we should all be moving towards, is that like prioritize yourself, take care of yourself, make sure that you're getting the sleep and the rest and the food and the exercise and the friend time and all that stuff that you need. You shouldn't have to worry about that for me and vice versa.
Right.
The people on social media who just make me cringe the hardest are the people who expect to be the center of everybody's room. Yes. And that's what social media has become. So you can come on social media and you can say, this is important to me. Pay attention to it. That's fine. But you can't come into the room and say, this is important to me, and therefore should be the most important thing to you too. Nobody cares that much about you. And that's okay.
That is exactly what Erin's and her husband Matt's point was this. And they were talking about how there's an ability now. Okay, we're getting too deep into this, so
go for it. Nope,
stop me.
Nope, keep going.
There's an ability now to shut down any actual conversation by weaponizing therapy, by weaponizing certain words, right? To say, you're attacking me. I feel unsafe. I'm not saying that there are not situations where that is absolutely valid and necessary, but now in all situations, it's being abused, right? Like it is absolutely being abused. Yes. You're attacking me. No, wait a minute. I'm really truly not attacking you. I remember when the internet had discourse and conversation.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it doesn't always. I'm really not. I love our Discord. Speaking of which, we have a beautiful Discord server.
Early in the episode today, getting on it. I love it.
Come on. I mean, it is. And that's why I spend more time on there. And even that gets when I'm super busy, even that gets pushed aside that I don't want to. But I care about what those people say. I'm interested in what they say. If we disagree,
it's okay.
it's okay. And everybody knows that. And no one, it's a safe space to begin with. But, Facebook just isn't. It isn't a safe space, really.
Well, and what I realized, I think I finally honed in on what I like about Discord and why our Discord, because I've tried other Discord servers in the past and I get lost.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Once I kind of made a pact with myself, and again, this was like me centering me prioritizing me, but not expecting anybody else to.
Yeah.
I do not feel any need in Discord to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel, and I've been trying, especially when like I give people a link and say, join our Discord, I will now give them that speech of,
yes, you do good. You do good about that.
Don't catch up. Just if you see a topic that is fun for you to talk about, start talking about it. And when you don't want to talk about it anymore, stop. That freedom exists on Discord in a way I feel like doesn't exist. And to your point of weaponizing on social media, man, we really are ranting about nothing on topic, and I don't care. I give no bothers.
Yes.
One of my least favorite things is when somebody's like, oh, I didn't know that you got that job, or that you moved to a new house, or, well, I put it on Facebook.
Yeah.
When did the expectation come that was going to be our primary method of communication with one another? Stop that. If you're doing that, if that's your knee-jerk reaction when somebody says they didn't know something big in your life, use that as an opportunity then to engage and connect with them about that big thing and celebrate it then in the moment, instead of trying to make them feel bad because they didn't read it on a Facebook status. Yeah. I used to do that too. I will say, as somebody who was highly guilty, I used to get mad at Matt. I'd be like, I put it on my Facebook. You didn't see it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
You forgave me. You got past it.
I did so quickly, so easily. But yeah, it's going to settle out. It's all going to settle out. I believe that children are the future. Right?
The kids are all right, as we pointed out many times on this here podcast,
okay.
which, by the way, is called ADHD-20.
Yes, it is called that.
It's a podcast that tries to find the intersection between ADHD
and TTRPGs.
And I guess with that being said, now we can dive into the topic at hand. But
let's do it.
I kind of liked having this little rant moment with you.
We're allowed to rant.
We can do that.
We're allowed to rant.
We're allowed to have opinions.
Yeah. Yes.
So before we get into the topic that we actually have lived ourselves here in the past week, and both had this very synchronous, like, ooh, that's what we should talk about.
Yes.
I guess it's time to roll some D100s. So I have my pretty dice
it's your
here.
turn, I believe.
Yeah, I'm going to show off my dice. These are by one of my favorite makers, Maze Designs. They have like a little galaxy inside. I just love them so much.
Oh my God.
Let's give them a little rolly rolls. Okay, we got a big old number, a 96.
A 96. Ooh, this is a new one. We have not asked this one before. So, Alison, you get a steed.
Yes.
What fantastical beast are you choosing?
I'm going to take everybody by surprise with this. I've been waiting for this question to come up because you all think, I know what you're thinking right now. You all think I'm going to choose unicorn.
Well, I've heard tales of it being sparkly.
Yes, and I love a unicorn, and no shade to unicorn wannabe writers. If I could, that it makes the short list for sure, but it's not my choice.
Okay.
Chimera.
Ooh, chimera.
So for those of you who don't immediately know, a chimera is a fantastical beast that has the head of a lion, a goat,
yes,
a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like being represented by three different facets. I feel like, it's kind of three for the price of one, like I get a steed, but like three new friends.
Now, normally they are gifted with demonic cruelty. That's my only worry for you. But I'm sure that you have the ability to charm.
Yeah, they're just misunderstood.
Yes. Chimera. Just misunderstood.
Just misunderstood. They just need somebody to talk to. They have some trauma that they haven't worked out, and I feel well positioned to help. What about you, Matt?
What would I ride?
Climb up on my faithful steed.
Oh, steed. I have always been partial to the griffin. However, I have been watching a funny animated show called Crapopolis. One of the main characters is played by phenomenal British actor Matt Berry, who's also in What We Do in Shadows and hundreds of other things. He plays a manticore god kind of thing. It's really funny. He's fun. It's like cute. So it has a vaguely humanoid head, the body of a lion, which I just think would be real cozy and then the wings of a dragon. So they're probably related in some way.
I feel like our Steeds are buddies. Yeah. And that checks out, and I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's, we both want like evil, misunderstood creatures.
That also feels
with spiky things and kill.
I mean, I'm not mad at a chimera or a manticore protecting us, you know.
Right.
Like, it's cool that you can kill in one swipe or bite.
Yes.
Great.
Hell yeah. Go.
But I don't want that to be your default, okay? I want you to try and talk it out first, and then if we have to resort to violence.
Yeah. Yes.
So
I love it. Well, good. That's a good answer. Yay.
I really want to write like a children's series now, like Maddie and the Manticore.
Oh man, that would be great. You know what we have to do?
Come here, Alison.
So we've recently had the idea, as we have many ideas that may or may not ever come to fruition, but that's why you're listening.
Yep.
Isn't it, listener?
Yes.
Isn't that why you're listening? But one that we've had is to, dip our toes into the world of, publishing the adventures that we have, that all of you could be a part of if you join our Patreon. We've been, AK really has been writing these delightful one-shots. And I joined in for this last one, and it was so fun.
And it was all the better for it.
And well, thank you for that. But I think that we make a good team no matter what. And I think this could be a really fun thing for us to do. Our goal is, of course, to have the ADHD brain in mind, right? I'm not trying to give too much away about this idea. But anyway, the idea, what if we had some that featured a chimera and a manticore?
I love that. But as friends, not as foes.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. If you're interested, let us know. We'll get it right on it.
I love it. Yeah. And that was one of the things I was going to talk about today was how much fun it was to work on that one shot with you and like to, take the best parts of both of our brains and kind of mold an actual story that so far has been done 3 times by 3 different groups.
Yes.
We're lucky to say so. And each differently. Too.
Yes, and each very, very, very different outcomes, which is the name of the game. But yeah, this is a pretty good segue, Alison, because you and I really do work well together. Little to no script today. I think we're relatively good at listening to each other. So one thing that we've let go of as our friendship developed is the need to over-explain to each other, right? Which is a constant, endless feeling that our brains deal with.
Always.
Honestly, even if you do get to know someone, sometimes over-explaining is necessary to make that particular relationship work. You and I kind of get there real fast, right? Oh my God.
Locked and loaded, Maddie.
No, I was just like, wow. I mean, it's not like you can read my brain or anything, but we have discovered that there's a whole lot less of misunderstandings for whatever reason, right? And that is not always the case, and especially with people that are new to us or...
In fact,
so please.
We have discovered it while recording this very podcast that I have gotten so fluent at speaking Matt, and Matt has gotten so fluent at speaking with Alison that sometimes we don't actually complete a thought. And don't realize it until we're in post-production. It's like Matt didn't finish that sentence, but I knew exactly what he was saying, so I didn't push him on it. And so in some ways, it actually is a downside to be that level of comfort with somebody.
Sure.
Because like sometimes you do just need to end the sentence and not go, and I go, yeah, I do know. Anywho.
You know. Oh, yeah.
And our trusty cohorts, partners in crime, Evan and Fitz. Johnny on the spot today.
Hey.
They have their own language.
Yeah, they do.
And Evan especially pointed this out to us that like, sometimes when we're recording in the pocket dimension, do y'all know that you don't complete a thought? And we've had to sheepishly be like, yeah.
Most of my thoughts are not completed. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, literally. I mean, it is. That's really kind of another topic is the brain voice connection, especially with me. I was made fun of it just yesterday, in fact. But it doesn't hurt me because I understand. I mean, I can hear myself doing it. I know it's happening. It's not like I think that people understand me. It's either charming or completely annoying. So that's up to you, dear listener.
Make up your mind.
Make up your mind. Get on. Which side of the line are you?
So to tie this back into social media,
Please.
Open up any insert social media platform here. X or Threads or, Instagrams, Reels and memes. And we noticed that there are all of these, like the ADHD urge to write a sentence with 8 sets of parentheticals. We're always doing that. I do. I notice myself doing it. We write these long sentences and then like put put something in parentheses after that to clarify, just to make sure that you're reading this in the tone. I will literally, it's like writing stage directions sometimes, like I will write a long sentence and then parentheses after it be like, she says with a smile. So you get that I'm trying to be funny or sarcastic in that moment. And I catch myself doing it. I catch myself using a lot of M dashes, parentheses, colons, semicolons, commas, just running the gambit of punctuation in an effort to communicate my thoughts in writing. And go. No, I'm going to say, I'm going to yes and that. And I'm going to make a very bold statement.
Do it. I would say that unless you are a professional editor in a major publication firm, or you have ADHD and you love overexplaining, I would like to show of hands the people that know the Mac keyboard shortcut for M dash and proper ellipses. Show of hands. I guarantee you have ADHD. I would almost guarantee that you have ADHD, because who else is going to care enough to get the proper M dash and the proper ellipses that work in code and stuff, and who would memorize that so that it is ingrained in your fingers?
Yeah.
I think you probably should go to your doctor and see, because you're probably over-explaining. Side note.
You know what? That is an interesting. And that's probably one of the most asked questions we get is, what's the diagnosis process like? How do I know if I need to chase a diagnosis? We should start like a compendium of you might be ADHD but if you know command shift hyphen is an M dash, you might be ADHD.
Yeah.
We are not medical professionals. We are not here to diaggnose. We are not here to dispense anything that even resembles advice. But if you know that shortcut, go.
Yeah. Go.
Stop listening to this
Treat
right
yourself.
now.
Yeah.
Come back later.
Yeah. For real. So anyway.
Yeah, so we ran into a situation last week where we both, Matt and I, felt ourselves over-explaining. In that moment of like, I felt that I had tripped up, I felt that I had done wrong, and so then instead of just like offering a sentence of clarification, I wrote platitudes. And so we just thought we could have a fun little conversation about why we send paragraphs when sentences will do. Why we
send paragraphs,
send sentences when words will do. Why? Is anybody ready to answer this? We're not. I mean, of
Yes.
course, we looked up a couple of things. My knee-jerk reaction before I looked anything up was that I was like, as with a lot of things that we have talked about lately, it has to be tied to RSD, right? That constant, overwhelming feeling of not being seen, heard, or understood. And so maybe like if I can just explain this to them with a cool enough head, they will know that I am not being emotional about this subject. Has literally been my internal monologue for my entire life, starting in childhood. If I can just get them to see the point I'm trying to make instead of the point they've decided to take away, maybe they won't call me dramatic this time.
And it's funny because over-explaining is not even is not always to someone else either. Like I went to a meeting yesterday. It was a great meeting. I was not nervous to go to this meeting. It was a couple of really genuinely great dudes that we have become kind of, mentors to us and great salespeople and, just business people. And we had lunch. We had a beer. It was totally, we were just chatting. There was nothing, but I went away from that meeting still. Because I can't not, right? The RSD is so strong within me, right? Like it is. And I could hear myself just, blah, 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 blah. Well, I hope that was okay. Just talking and talking and talking and talking. And Lizzie was like, how did it go? How did it go? It was great. It was great. Do they think I'm a clown now? I mean, should I have gone there with my nails painted? Do they think that green hair is just totally I'm just on and on forever. And so, yeah, I mean, it's not just to other people to over-explain. It's also.
It's a constant battle where we just replay the scene over and over again.
Yes.
It's tied to RSD. It's a trauma response, which kind of to your point, or like everything is a trauma response at this point, right?
Sure.
We were all traumatized in childhood. We all were. It's fine.
And it's okay.
It's okay.
It's fine. Yeah, it happens.
You're allowed now, healing and moving forward. I did, in the quickest amount of reading I did do on it. So this won't apply as much to you, but it definitely applies to me. It's a sign of a lack of impulse control. That I just can't stop.
Yeah, it doesn't apply as much, but I mean, it certainly does. I've done it. I caught myself doing it in this conversation already once. So it is. I am not immune, of course. But yeah, just to fill silence. To just Oh, wait. Who's being quiet? I feel like just like
Is that something you do, Matt? Though.
To me, it kind of depends on the situation. It's so funny because maybe going back to trauma response, I will say, when I was in the rock band, but you could apply it to any friend group that you have like maybe moved on from, but then you revisit and you come back.
Okay.
I tend to have different roles. I play different parts depending on where I am and who I'm with. So with the rock band, yes, I was I was that guy to fill every silence because it was a relatively silent kind of dude-like group of dudes, right?
Well, and I feel like now you're talking about specifically on stage, like the banter and stuff. For sure. Okay.
And banter. Oh yeah. Oh yes. Oh, banter. But then fast forward to my stint as an actor, and I did not say a word. In fact, they actually multiple times, my fellow actors in the the dressing rooms would say, "You're not much of a talker, are you? You're the silent type." I'm like, no one has ever said that to me. Yeah. No one has ever. But it's just that that's their role. They were doing a fantastic job. And so I it depends on where I am, but yes, impulse control is definitely part of it.
Interesting. I feel like I just learned something new about you. I've never noticed you filling spaces with anything other than purpose and intent, because as we've talked about before, you are so good at kind of mining for what truly lights people up. You're good at that part of the conversation.
Yeah. I am. So one thing that is, I don't know whether I've just gotten better at it or it was never as much of a problem for me, but listening, I am sure is a struggle with a lot of people with ADHD, and I'm pretty good at listening. I'm pretty good at being aware and listening when I need to, with some caveats, of course, but generally I can. So I feel very lucky, very blessed, #blessed that I have that ability. Cause I know it's a very difficult struggle for a lot of people, but, you know what? And I've said this before, but I think a lot of it is being married to a deaf person. I think a lot of it, of my training, my learning process, I can't fill spaces with her. You have to, and listening, of course, but if I say anything off the cuff, when I was in high school, my best friends, we thought we were so funny because we had this like under our breath,
Constant
banter,
patter.
Constant patter, like things that I was just quick-witted, stream of consciousness stuff, that had to go away with Lindsay. It had to. It only confuses her. It shuts down all communication if I do that. So maybe that's a part of it, a big part of it.
I think you're onto something with that, which is segueing us into the how do we combat this? Obviously, I think situationally, you had a reason to learn.
Yeah.
I think, though, and this is a brand new thought that I just had in this moment, so pardon my impulse. I wonder what the tether is instead of, my knee-jerk reaction was to tether it to RSD, right? Because that's the answer for me for everything. Oh, well, what if it's more tethered to masking, though? I think you're onto something with the over-explaining fills the spaces where you're uncomfortable. And when you're feeling like you're not being heard and understood, it's uncomfortable. And so you immediately want to reach out to that other person by way of run-on sentences and parentheses and clear that air. Wow.
Yeah, that's a good theory.
My very first therapy session, like as an adult, one of the very first things that my therapist told me in the very first session was, I need you to get comfortable being uncomfortable. There is no way around some things. Like some things you just have to go through. So when you're going through a really hard part of your life, at the time I was going through a really, really bad breakup, she was like, I need you to learn how to sit with it, and that's been like my own practice as of late, is to become the observer in my own life. We've talked about this as it relates to meditation, where like meditation is not the act of quieting our mind.
Right.
It's the act of learning to sit with our thoughts and observe them and let them pass through onto their next destination. And I think that there's a tie-in here for that the over-explaining is the masking part of me. Interesting.
That's interesting. Yeah, I can definitely get behind that.
Weird.
Ooh, love it. I'd like to, so in a little dip before we get into what we can do to quote unquote combat this, bring it to Dungeons and Dragons real quick.
Oh, yes, please.
We have a long running group of, favorite people that we play with almost every Sunday or Monday. And we are in Barovia, as we've said many times. We have a character played by Fitz named Ash. And they are a cleric, and they have a low charisma score.
So good.
And what's amazing about Fitz in this way is that, and side note, this is why Fitz is so freaking good at being a player. If you have a high charisma score, charisma attribute in Dungeons and Dragons specifically, you can be typically a bard or a warlock, and then someone might put a badge of face on you, meaning you're the one who's going to be doing most of the talking in social encounters, and you're going to do and you're going to be the most charming. And when you roll and you try to influence people or deceive them or something, then you're going to have a higher level of success. Well, in Fitz's genius, she absolutely plays against that type. And so her character, Ash, is the one that speaks first and speaks the longest. And it is uncharismatic. It works because they're always trying to push their own weird agenda, usually political.
Yep.
It's like this weird searching for utopia all across Barovia. It's really hilarious. And Fizz is just really amazing at making that happen. So my instant thought there was, what is that about? Is that Fizz's homage to what we're talking about, this over-explaining? Is she implying that maybe Ash does have ADHD in that way, in that over-explaining, impulsive way of just being the person that needs to fill that silence in every situation?
Well, and we've talked about before that there are, certain tenets, traits, characteristics that ADHD has cornered the market. And then there are others that are just a facet of either being neurodivergent as a broad term or human.
Mm-hmm. Or human. So narrow. So narrow.
I'm not going to lie to you. There have been conversations as of late that have made me seriously question, am I on the autism spectrum?
Oh, yeah.
Like what I've been processing in my head for the past 41 years, I feel like I'm now seeing with new eyes in some ways. Yeah. You do not have to be socially awkward to be autistic. And if you are autistic, it does not mean that you are socially awkward.
Right.
But there are times and this comes from the awareness, like I'm trying to be more of an observer in my life and be more aware of myself, my surroundings, how I make people feel, what my energy is doing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, as I'm observing myself, I'm like, oh God, you came off a lot more harsh or over-explained or, any of these things. And I'm like, am I autistic? Because there's a lot out there about, I don't even know how to say it out loud, but like on like ADHD, like basically people who are autistic and have ADHD. Mm-hmm. And to tie it all back to masking, it's very prevalent in women. Mm-hmm. And all of these different things. And then to tie that all back to Ash and D&D, when you think that you're the face, but you're not the face. And then I have these moments of like, oh my God, is that me? Like all this time have I thought like I'm charismatic, and I'm like, oh no. And I'm not asking for like there nows on this.
No. We can be very clear about that. We're not trying to infringe on someone else's neurodivergent brain by saying any of these things. I truly believe, and I could be proven wrong, and other people can argue this, so that's fine. It's just my opinion. But I really believe and hope that they're going to find that intersection and discover that autism, ADHD, OCD, these other, because they can't really properly map the brain and why, they can't, we haven't gotten there yet. But when we do, which again, will hopefully be in our lifetime, I feel like they're going to have a better name for ADHD, which is still the worst name ever. They're going to have a better name for autism and spectrumness and all of it. But yeah, I mean, yes, I'd say, I think you're just speaking the truth.
And like, again, I'm not sharing this so that people go, oh, Alison. There have been multiple people now in our darling Discord that I love so much, and I love everybody in there, and I love everything everybody said. But multiple people have used the word intimidating to describe me.
It's so weird.
I don't get it. I would be willing to hedge a bet that the people who have gotten to know me since saying that probably would now be like, no, dude, she is squishy as hell. But the fact I am all nougat, okay? But clearly there is something about the way I am presenting, especially to strangers, that is it. So I'm not saying anybody is wrong. I am saying I don't understand. And there's a big difference. And
we don't understand.
And calling somebody wrong and saying, I don't get it.
Interesting.
But I wonder if that is again a facet of masking. If that and I keep tying this back to Ash, where like Ash thinks they're the face. I thought I was highly charismatic, and it turns out I'm just an over-explaining, try-hard sometimes that gives a vibe of intimidation. And to your point, also in D&D, something I personally have been trying to play with and push levels on. So in D&D, this might be a stretch. We can cut this, or y'all can tell me you didn't like this part. But in D&D, everything that you do is tied to one of 6 ability scores. They are strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, charisma. And when you're building a character, you kind of usually pick one of those to be your dump stat, as we call it. Like, I don't care about being strong or dexterous. And you pick one to be your, like, I'm going to build my character around these. And so, like, I always pick charisma. And we were building characters on the Pocket Dimension Live a couple of weeks ago. I'm building a new character, and I picked charisma as my high score. And everybody in the chat's like, oh, okay, Alison's building another high charisma, character, something new and different. And I've been pushing myself since then to figure out, the character's name is Benny. How will she be charismatic in a different way? How will she not be the face? Because that is everybody's very tropey understanding of charisma. But can you be charismatic in the way that Ash is? Can you be charismatic? And so I've kind of figured, I don't want to spoil anything for those who are going to tune in to see how Benny plays out. But I spent hours on a drive recently thinking about, like, what charisma, all the different ways that you can play a charismatic character, basically.
Yeah. I love that.
Wanted to talk about over-explaining, and said we're talking about charisma, but I think that
I do think that they fit together, because we all know people like that. We know the people who are, what do we call them? The cards, the hams, the
jesters, class clowns,
the jesters, the class clowns, and we love them too, right? We are actually filling our roles as faces at those moments. Are we over-explaining as we go? Are we trying to get the laugh or whatever we're trying to do? Yeah. So if we were to need to combat it, what are some ways to do so? And we have pointed out that over-explaining has different forms, right? Sometimes it's just blabbermouth, or and then sometimes the thing that I really have a really difficult time is in writing. In writing is how to be more succinct, how to be more concise, how to not over-explain. There is something that I did just yesterday. So my favorite task manager, project management, PKM app is called Tana, but you could do this with other things. You could probably do this with Notion. You could probably do this with a lot of things. But they allow you to take chunks of text and then build what they call commands. And one of those command abilities is to use AI, like ChatGPT or something like that, to, either write subtasks if you have a task you don't know how to break down, or you can do anything you want. Anyway, I created a command called Un-ADHD-ify. And the prompt is basically, I want you to take this brain dump, this noise that I have spoken into it, or written, this transcription, and I want you to make it clear, concise. I want you to find the points of what I'm trying to say and spit them out to me. And I think, pro or against AI, that is genuinely, I cannot imagine anyone finding a fault in using it in that way. These are my words. These are my overworded paragraphs. And I am then asking AI to find the core of it. And just remember, this is something that I deal with every day, all the time. Yeah. So I'm constantly being asked what the hell I'm talking about, because I'm over explaining things. So that's one way. Yeah. On ADHD-ify.
I love it.
Prompt. Yeah. How about you?
My answer is just get more Matts in your life.
That's also true.
Get more people who listen to understand instead of to respond. Get more people who you feel secure enough about to remove the mask and stop the over-explaining, which, that's a very, I know I'm saying that in jest, but, it's part of all of our growth is making sure that we're surrounding ourselves with the right people, and also working on yourself helps because, in that moment of getting comfortable, being uncomfortable, in that moment of, am I feeling silences or am I actually adding value to this room? I think helps awareness.
For me, it's definitely taking a breath before I say something sometimes. So like I've said before, physically, I do that a lot now. I'm probably very annoying. I'll physically put my hand in front of my mouth.
Well, usually I can't see you except for.
That's true. That's true. But yes, in public situations, I have to go. Okay. Well, please wait until she's finished. Okay, now say something.
I need to do that. Yeah, I need to try that one out for sure.
Yes, have more Matts in your life, have more Alisons in your life, but also we do really want to find the ways to communicate in the most efficient way with the people that do not share this trait with us. We want to constantly find those ways because we're not aware. A lot of times, I'm stunned when people are like, what did you mean by that? Oh God. It's going to be a constant struggle, but those people help you. Like you, in some ways, you enabled me to be the guy who doesn't finish his sentences.
I do know right? I'm an enabler there.
That's okay. I'm glad that you are too.
You enable me by allowing me to be a feral, impulsive, whatever.
Yeah, I just get it.
But that's the reason we have this podcast. That's why we share these stories, is so that way other people go, oh, okay, I'm not alone. And if they feel like sharing it with their loved ones, that's In fact, just yesterday, I asked Evan if he had listened to last episode, which is all about catastrophizing. And once again, he was like, I learned so much about the way that your brains work.
Yeah. Yeah. Because Evan has always been one of the ones that I will fight till my dying day to work on communication with him. But we do not have the same brains, and it is not always easy. And I know that I say things that he doesn't understand. He says things I don't understand. Sometimes it feels like we don't speak the same language even, but that's okay because I have to make it work. I have to.
You will ride in on your manticore and kill
I will ride
anything.
In with my manticore. If anything gets in my way, I will murder
it.
Yeah. You do have to have somebody that's willing. And I know Evan is willing too. I know Evan is in to win as well. So that is a thing. Because I've also had people that don't want to try to understand and just think I'm attacking them all the time. And I can't do anything about that.
Yep.
That's all they just have to go away.
Those are the crazy makers we've talked about in prior episodes.
Yeah. This is good.
You know what we shouldn't do, Matt?
Over-explain this episode. We should not end this.
We should just go. Okay. All right.
Yeah. There it is. Good job, Alison.
Good job, Matt.
Yeah. Until next time, right?
That feels so weird, man.
I know. Help. I'm falling. I gotta be quiet.
My mind is feeling physically uncomfortable.
Physically, I feel like I'm falling into a net from a trapeze.
I don't think there's a net. I feel like I'm falling into concrete.
Oh God. I'll catch you. Don't. No. ADHD-20 is a creation from The Pocket Dimension, a multiverse where we explore neurospice,
rolling dice,
and so much more. Come chat with us in our Discord server, open to all. The join link is in our show notes.
Ready to level up your support? Check out the Pocket Dimensions Patreon, where you can get access to bonus content, be the first to hear new episodes, and even play TTRPGs with us and our friends.
The best way you can help us, though, is just to share the gift of ADHD-20 with the people that you think will like it.
We love that you're here. Thank you for entering the Pocket Dimension.